If you watch films like The Stepford Wives or Don't Worry Darling, uska messaging to be, oh, love wins all, would be a little messy, right? It would be a little unsettling. That's what watching this film feels like. Hi, I'm Pratiksha Mishra and you're listening to my review of Teri Baaton mein Aisa Uljha Jiya. First of all, I'm so glad I got that film name out because I was scared that I wouldn't. So if I mess it up after this, I know I am messing it up, okay, just so that's clear. This film, Shahid, Kapoor and Kriti Sanon's latest, is essentially about a human being who falls in love with a robot, or rather a humanoid character. Shahid Kapoor plays Aryan Agnihotri, a robotics engineer जिसने decide किया कि आजकल का ये जो प्यार व्यार का concept है उससे जम नहीं रहा है, and he's decided to kind of be like, okay, this is maybe not for me, till he meets Sifra, played by Kriti Sanon. Aryan's Masi, Urmila, played by Dimple Kapadia, says that she has to go on an important trip. She also mentions a project that she's working on, but she says कि ठीक है, जब तक मैं वापस नहीं आती हूँ, तुम्हारा मेरे घर में ख्याल रखने के लिए सिफरा है. Now the first half of the film is actually a little enjoyable because you're reveling in the dramatic irony. तुम्हें पता है कि सिफरा रोबोट है, उर्मिला को पता है कि सिफरा रोबोट है, but आर्यन को नहीं पता है. So that kind of difference in what you know and what the character knows can be pretty interesting in a film like this. Then what eventually happens is that Aryan and Sifra fall in love with each other. I did find myself wondering कि ये सिफरा को लाइन मारने के लिए किसने प्रोग्राम किया है? Which, if you really think about it, is a valid thought to have. क्योंकि why would someone make a robot that can say fall in love with you, sleep with you essentially, become a potentially a wife, a life partner? They explain later that this robot is supposed to give company to people who are alone, who need company in their lives. But it still does not explain why you would create a life partner as a robot. Just create a friend, man. Once Aryan and Sifra do fall in love, the film gets a little dicey to watch. You are watching this robot who has been designed as a human woman and essentially has no agency. क्योंकि at one point Urmila tells Aryan कि उसको तुम्हारे चेहरे पे प्यार दिखा, so she kissed you. Aryan does mention that, oh, my consent has been violated because you tricked me, and he's right, rightfully so. But this does not translate to the human woman female robot that they have created. This is an all-knowing robot. Starting में she says कि मुझे सारी भाषाएं आती हैं, मुझे ठंड नहीं लगता, मुझे डर नहीं लगता, यारा यारा. But does she essentially be programmed for consent if you've created her to be a companion to human beings? But okay, the film is not getting into all of this. Let's consider for a moment that the film does not want to get into this. छोड़ो चलो. Still, there are moments where you feel like this film could have been a great satire. Aryan has fallen in love with a woman who he thinks is a woman essentially because she has no nakhre, koi tante nahi hai uske, is what he says, and the fact that she essentially does everything that he asks her to. Even when she eventually meets his family in Mumbai, the family marvels at the fact that she's a perfect bahu, the perfect woman, a human Barbie, if you will. This is where moments of maybe some sensibility creep in, where I think the movie is making a commentary about how Indian families perceive women that marry into their families, what we consider to be a perfect wife and bahu, the fact that she listens to everything, doesn't really push back a lot, seems to be something that they're very excited about. And this is a family that's portrayed rather progressive in the film. And there's also the point where another man, when he finds out that Sifra is a robot, the first thought that he has is to make a move on her. Again, this could have been great commentary, but ये भी overshadow हो जाता है इस बात से कि the hero has to come in typical hero moment and defend her. Again, there is a point where Urmila questions Aryan ki, is this really a smart thing to do, falling in love with a robot and then following through on it? Even that gets overshadowed क्योंकि hero को एक बहुत ही passionate monologue देना है. This film, genuinely, like I said, could have been a great satire if they had given the same agency that they give to the hero to the rest of the characters. The comedy in the film does to an extent work out when they're relying on like situational comedy because the family is what we see in cinema as a typical Indian big family. But it also goes for a lot of low-hanging fruit. There's a random transphobic joke with a Bangkok reference. There is multiple husband-wife jokes where Sifra is apparently better than the hero's friend's wife because she doesn't nag. Hero का जो friend है also वही बन के रह जाता है, sidekick types. There's not much characterization there either. We have actors like Dharmendra and Dimple Kapadia, but उनके character में भी इतना characterization नहीं है कि you can actually be invested in what they're doing. वो भी caricatures बन के रह जाते हैं. Especially caricatures or characters that we have seen them do before very recently. Dharmendra, for instance, in Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani, and Dimple Kapadia in films like A Thursday or Pathaan, I think. In those films also she played a very similar role, not to be confused, however, with her brilliant offering in Saas Bahu or Flamingo. Also, the ensemble cast that includes people like Rajesh Kumar and Rusha Kapoor lends to the comedy of this film. ये ऐसे actors हैं जिन्होंने पहले situational comedy की है, उनको काफ़ी अच्छे से आता भी है ये genre करना, and that's why a lot of the comedy does pan out. This premise of a robot essentially that's trying to fit in as a human has been done before and can also be done really, really well. I think this film is essentially trying to be like the movie Her, which prompted my brain to come up with the joke, this movie's pronouns are he/him because he will never be her. This is only something that you will understand if you watched the film, but I will expand upon it a little bit more. Her as a film also deals with the relationship between a human and an AI, is one that dissects modern human relationships. It's very sensitive. It's also kind of witty and funny and a little terrifying. But all of that is missing from this film. Even films like The Stepford Wives or Don't Worry Darling have dealt with similar themes, but they've also done it very intelligently, जो यहाँ पे नहीं हो पाता है. Shahid Kapoor as an actor plays very well these kind of roles where he's playing this romantic kind of tomboyish charm. All of it works here also. He knows how to make these quirks likable, even though Aryan is not a very likable character. I've also missed seeing Shahid Kapoor dance, so that was very refreshing to watch on screen. Kriti Sanon, however, does steal the show in this film. Playing a humanoid character is not easy क्योंकि आपको robot और human का एक mix create करना पड़ेगा, but also in a way that does not seem either too mechanical or too unconvincing as a robot. That mix Kriti Sanon has portrayed pretty well, and I must admit she does look like a human Barbie, absolutely stunning on screen. Since we're kind of on the topic of technicality, the camera work in this film sometimes feels a little shabby. जैसे कि there's a scene where we're watching Shahid Kapoor's character pick up sushi and take it to the dip, and that just feels very rehearsed. There are also moments where the shots are very very wide for no reason, feel a little out of place. कहीं कहीं पे मूवी थोड़ा सा वो टीवी शो आता था ना, करिश्मा का करिश्मा, वैसी लगती है, and those are honestly the best camera moments. Otherwise, not much to write home about. The music is also very typical Bollywood music, kind of forgettable but fun when you're watching it on a big screen. One thing that I do like about this film is the foley sound. There are parts where we see Sifra's skin sounding like plastic rubber or whatever the material that Barbie is made of. There are those little whirring sounds that come in, the ting when she is charging. All of that very well done, because if Sifra did not in Folly sound like a robot, it would be unconvincing no matter how hard Kriti Sanon would have tried. Remember I was talking about those moments in the film where you can feel some hope? One of those moments is when Sifra kind of starts to malfunction and just starts doing things that she is wanting to do. Still coming from commands, but it's things that she is doing after having rejected the male authority in her life. That is very interesting to watch. She is posed as a terrifying creature at that point, but you can't help but see the clearly feminist subversion that is happening. But वो भी film में properly हमें देखने को नहीं मिलता है because the hero comes in. तेरी बातों में ऐसा उलझा जिया, and I hope I got the film's name correct again, is a film that could have been so much more, and I want to hope that all this messaging that you do see was intentional, because it's coming from the same makers as films like Stree. This is a movie that's fun but kind of unsettling. I don't know what that genre is. It feels like rom-com, it feels like sci-fi, but Sifra और आर्यन की कहानी अभी खत्म नहीं हुई है. So if you're someone who genuinely believes that उम्मीद पे दुनिया कायम है, hold out hope for this film doing something better next time, and that is why my rating for तेरी बातों में ऐसा उलझा जिया is 2.5 stars out of 5.